Christmas tunes we're doing. The rest of this stuff, we're going to just do stuff we'll do in the spring, stuff we've already worked on. So that's all the Christmas we got. But hey, the rest of this is not good too.
Meeting. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to the items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items may not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. This meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. These proceedings are being live streamed on BISD's YouTube channel, and a recording of the meeting will be available on the district's website in the coming days following tonight's meeting. For the video to adequately reflect proceedings, respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking, and cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us in your interest in Belton ISD. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer or meditation. Okay, you can remain standing. Communications, we'll introduce some students from Sparta here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and honor and protect the flag.
That's right, Board. I'm going to welcome up here Kylie Capella and Eugenia Ogudu from Sparta.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Board. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about these wonderful students. They're both fifth graders. Kylie's a fifth grader at Sparta and participates in the Student Leadership Program and the Sparta Stars dance team. Her favorite subjects are reading and history, and she's such an avid reader that she has read almost all the books in the Sparta library. It's no surprise in her free time she loves to read and play with her cat. She loves Sparta, but is looking forward to being a big kid in middle school next year. And Yuju is also a fifth grader at Sparta. She participates in the student leadership team and also on the Sparta Stars dance team. Yuju is an exemplary student and loves both reading and math. She cannot pick a favorite. In her free time, she loves to play tennis, draw, and make music. What she loves most about Sparta is how easy it is to talk with adults and how she feels heard and understood. So thank you, ladies.
All right, first item on the agenda is recognitions.
Yes, and we already gave the jazz band from Lake Belton Middle School a round of applause, but let's do it again because you guys
Ms. Bailey, before you go on, I just have to point out to the jazz band, I had numerous comments as I was walking up here about y'all sound better than we ever sounded when we were in high school band. I can't believe how much music's coming out of this group right in front of us here today. So keep playing, keep enjoying it. I love seeing you. Some of you jam with each other, and I might be able to play the cowbell. I'm not sure if I can play anything else, but I might sign up for the cowbell next time you come and play. But thank you all for being here tonight. It was outstanding.
Outstanding performances in the fine arts. Our first recognition for this evening are two Lake Belton High School students who were, they earned the highest honor a Texas music student can receive, and they were named to the TMEA All-State Orchestra, freshman Emily Zhang and Rachel Kim. This is a huge accomplishment and speaks to the caliber of musicians that our system is putting out there, so we're really proud of these girls. Congratulations. Next, we're going to recognize athletes. We have two Belton High School students students who competed in the state cross-country meet. We have Olivia Brillhart and Brian Yabanez. We are really proud of these guys for representing our district at this really tough competition. Congratulations, guys. Now we're going to talk about some of our world-class employees. First up, we have Elizabeth Cancel. She's being recognized by the Temple Rotary as the Educator of the Month. She serves as a science teacher at North Belton Middle School, and she's in her 14th year in education, all of which are in Belton ISD. Her peers say of her, Elizabeth comes to her classroom with a smile and a kind heart for all of her students. She's a lifelong learner and a master teacher who continues to seek ways to better her craft, not only for herself, but for her students. She is willing to lend a hand when it's needed and does it with a willing heart. Her classroom environment is what every parent wishes for his or her child. She's such a great team member. We're very thankful for her. Congratulations. Shining example of the member of the Belton ISD family is Samantha Garrell. She's being recognized as the Belton Rotary Teacher of the Quarter. She serves as a first grade teacher at Miller Heights Elementary, and she is in her 14th year of education. This is her second year in Belton ISD. Courtney Brewer, her AP, says of her, the empathy she has for kids is evident in all of her interactions with students, staff, and families. She works collaboratively with families to get to know students, including their strengths, interests, and aspirations. She uses this knowledge to plan engaging lessons and grow her students in their academics and character. Her positivity and energy and desire for each and every student is undeniable and such a gift to our students. Congratulations. Pleasure to introduce our department showcase for this month. It is our special ed department, our special programs department. They work to ensure students with disabilities are provided equitable access to education and learning through individualized continuum of services and supports. We're going to have them all line up here down in front of the stage. These guys they're amazing. As a parent of a special education student, I know that their work is very hard, and I just truly appreciate their service to our special students and making sure each and every student has an exceptional learning experience in our system. So thank you, guys. Well-deserved recognition. Congratulations once again. We're tremendously grateful to have you part of our Big Red community. Thank you. And that concludes our recognitions for this evening.
Okay, I'm going to jump in and use this microphone right here before our special program staff makes their way anywhere. But I want to point out real quickly, as we're all heading back to our seats and stuff, how important this department is in Belton ISD. So one of the values and beliefs that this board adopted was that we're about each and every, meaning that we believe each and every student should have the supports, the learning, and the resources next to them to thrive in our system. And that's a really big word, thrive. And so thank you for what you do each and every day, because what you do, you put the supports, the resources, and the systems in place so students can thrive. And that means the world to me as a superintendent, and I know it means the world to this board as well. So thank you for what you you do every day for our kids in Belton ISD.
Okay, as y'all can see right now, we have a pretty nice full house. And I'm going to let everybody, now that we're done with recognition, everybody who wants to leave, see, watch it, here it goes. Everybody who wants to leave can go ahead and leave. Those of you who want to stay for a fascinating meeting, you can. Go. You know what? Okay, now we are back to public comments. Connie, do we have anybody signed up? We do not? Okay. We will move on to the next section then. The next item is the journey of a graduate, critical thinking. Dr. Smith?
Board members, as you recall, it's been a couple of short years that we focused in on developing the journey of a graduate, and this was developed with about 100 community members, and those community members gave us some feedback on not just the content that students need to learn in our system, but the skills and the competencies that they felt were important to thrive in the future. Critical thinking is one that we want to highlight tonight. A BISD learner gathers, analyzes, and reflects on information in order to solve problems and make informed decisions. So if you would, just talk to us a little bit about critical thinking, and I'll let you, instead of putting parameters around it, and Chris tells me every time he's not going to follow the directions, we'll just go ahead and say it's wide open. Let's talk a little bit about critical thinking tonight.
So I pulled up some characteristics of critical thinking, right? And so when I read these, I think very specifically of what we went through with New Tech and how we got there, and the fact that we had students and parents who exemplified these particular items: open-mindedness, respecting evidence and reasoning, being able to consider different perspectives and points of view. In other words, having cognitive flexibility, not being stuck in one position, skepticism, clarity, and precision. You had to have all of those things in play in order for us to be able to move forward with the Dragons. And so I'm so glad we were able to come to a general consensus and get there. And that is a direct result of some critical thinking on the part of not only the parents, but the students who chose to stay there or seek the New Tech way eventually.
So when I was looking things up about it, this is one of the main things that came up that I saw. According to research by America Succeeds, critical thinking is in the top 5 most requested durable skills in job postings. It goes to show that soft skills like critical thinking are in demand in the workplace. And so it is very important that we teach that skill. It is, it's critical.
I was, when I saw what was coming up and talk about these characteristics at each of our meetings, I tried to read a few things about that particular characteristic before we come in here. And I read some things while I was sitting in the office today. And these are the things that kind of popped out. I wrote some of these things down that are really important. And we always talk about things in terms of education, but all of these seem to be kind of interconnected. But critical thinking, not only in education, but it helps you, I mean, it's a lifelong kind of thing. So we all, I mean, no matter what age you are, you're always gathering information and making decisions, hopefully informed decisions. But here's some of the things that I think critical thinking does for you. Obviously, it helps you analyze information. It helps you develop skills in thinking outside the box. I think it helps you solve problems with innovative solutions. So I think being critical thinking leads to innovation, and it allows you to plan systematically. The other thing that I think is important in terms of not only outside the educational realm, but it leads to logical thinking, which obviously is very important, and I think those are interconnected, and it leads to open-mindedness. I don't know that anyone thinks about it like, I didn't think about it like that, and then when I read that, I thought it sure does. It does lead to open-mindedness. So those are my thoughts on that.
The first thing that I thought about when thinking about critical thinking is that we live in a complicated, challenging, complex world, and it's ever-changing. And I feel like to navigate that, we have to be critical thinkers. And I think for some people, it comes a little bit more natural than others. Some people need it has to be developed, and it needs to be nurtured. And because it's a lifelong skill, and that for some it needs to be developed, you can't start as an adult. You've got to start in the early years. And so I know we think of maybe critical thinking as just for adults, but I have seen it even as farther down into the middle school, which when we were at South Belton last week, saw that in some of their writings. And I also think it causes students to take ownership of their learning, because when they take ownership of the learning and they understand it well enough, then that helps them become critical learners. And even then down in the elementary, I was telling you a little bit about a time last night where I was with my 5th grader who had to create something on his own. And it was hard. It was really hard. But I noticed that if he didn't take ownership of it, he couldn't complete the assignment. So I could just see his brain on fire, and he was critically thinking about what he was having to do because Mama wasn't helping very much because it was 9 o'clock before bedtime, and he was on my hotspot. So it's a critical skill from as early as we can start developing and nurturing until, well, it's a lifelong skill.
And I've said this a couple times about some of the other journey characteristics, but most of the easy problems in the world have been solved, right? And so, with critical thinking paired with all these other things, right? I mean, that's what it's going to take to get us over the hump of what problems plague us, right, today and tomorrow. It's about, how do you make a decision in an environment where you don't have all the information that you want or need to make the decision, right? If you wait till you have it all, the decision's passed, right? How do you operate in that gray environment and make an educated decision or take an educated step forward towards solving your problem in a way that makes some kind of sense, right, to somebody? And instilling critical thinking in parallel with all of these other areas, right? You can be the best thinker, but if you're thinking in a closet and you can't tell anybody about it, it doesn't make any difference in the world, right? And so paired with all of these other things, it brings a lot of power to the journey of a graduate.
I appreciate y'all sharing some thoughts on that. Obviously, this one is an important one for our workforce, but also I think just for our nation in general to be able to gather information to solve problems and make informed decisions. And in an information age, when we're bombarded with all sorts of information from everywhere, the ability to look at that and to form opinions and make decisions, I think, is a key skill that we have to continue to work on in our system for the sake of our kids and their employment, but also for the sake of our nation. So thank you all for weighing in on that. I appreciate it immensely.
Okay. Next on the agenda is action items. First action item is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the 2021-2022 school year comprehensive annual financial report.
I would like to welcome Ms. Melissa Lafferty on up to the podium. Melissa is our Chief Financial Officer, as you all know. And every year we go through a comprehensive audit of finances in Belton ISD. Melissa's going to get it kicked off and turn it over to our auditors to give you a report.
Officially working to close our year end, and it is officially closed. And tonight I have with me Paula Lau, and she is an audit partner with Patillo Brown and Hill, and they are our external audit firm, and so she's going to walk you through the highlights of our fiscal year 2022 annual comprehensive financial report.
Can we pause just for a second? I think we're having some mic difficulty. Want to make sure that our board can hear. I knew when I leaned into that microphone earlier, I probably shouldn't have been doing that. I probably broke it along the way, so I apologize.
And she's the audit partner with Patillo Brown and Hill, and they are our external audit firm. And she's going to walk you through the highlights of our fiscal year 2022 annual comprehensive financial report. Paula? Thank you, Melissa. As Melissa mentioned, I'm Paula Lau with Belton ISD, and I'm here this evening to provide you with results of the annual financial audit this year for fiscal year 2022. And I wanted to put a couple highlights for you as well along the report. Any point in time, feel free to stop me, and if you have any questions along the way, I really appreciate that. I would also just like to thank each of the board members for giving our firm, Till Brown Hill, an opportunity to work with such a good group here at the district. Going through the audit process that really starts back during the summer. We start asking questions about internal controls and processes here at the district, until just about now, I guess. We're providing you with the results of the audit as well. Everyone is very helpful, very diligent with providing us the information that we need in a timely fashion as well. So thank you, each of you, for giving us that opportunity as well. Thank you. But just to point out, as I mentioned, is providing you the results of the audit and then talking about some of the highlights in the report as well. I think each of you, as board members, do have an annual financial report in front of you, as well as another little packet of information, as well as some standard information. If you look at page 1 of the larger of the 2 items, there you will find our independent auditor's report, and that's what you guys have hired us to do, is come in and look at these financial statements and compare them with the standards, and provide you with results to this Belton ISD adhere to these particular standards as well. I'm happy to let you know that we were able to render an unmodified opinion. An unmodified opinion is the highest opinion that can be rendered by an auditor. So congratulations on that, on getting the highest results there. Flipping through the reports, there I will point you to the federal award section. That's another area where you will find a couple of additional reports that we're required to issue as auditors. Whenever an entity does spend more than $750,000 of federal awards, it kicks off another set of compliance requirements that we had to look at this particular year as well. The 2 programs that we had to focus on was the ESSER program and the special education program as well. And you'll find that information within the schedule of findings and question costs on page 110. Also within that area, on that schedule of findings and question costs, I think it's a nice summary of the results of the audit as well. It lets you know what type of opinion that was rendered on the financial statements, which was an unmodified opinion, no material weaknesses, significant deficiencies to bring to each of your attention. And again, on the federal awards, we were able to get a clean opinion there as well. So definitely all good results with the information that I'm providing with you tonight. So congratulations on that. As far as financial highlights are concerned, one area that I always like to make sure that I am pointing out is talking about the general fund balance at the end of the fiscal year. Just gives you a snapshot at the time what that looks like. So on page 15, you'll find the balance sheet for your general fund. At the end of the fiscal year, the general fund had a total fund balance of about $35 million, with unassigned fund balance being a little bit lower than that of $35 million. A lot of times what we like to do is compare that unassigned fund balance of $35 million to your total expenditures for the year, and that was the total expenditures for the year is about $133 million for the general fund alone. So looking at that, your unassigned fund balance is about 26% of your total expenditures of the general fund, which is also known as about 3 months of expenditures for your general fund that you have in unassigned fund balance, which comparing to a lot of guidelines that we do look at, including TEA, that's actually hitting it right on the spot. So, but again, that's just one highlight. And there's a lot of great information within this annual comprehensive financial report. And as I did mention to you, we had great results that we are providing this evening with the audit as well. So congratulations on that. And again, thank you for the opportunity to work with everyone. If you have any questions or anything, I'm more than happy to answer those as well.
Mr. Taggart?
Yeah, I just want to say that the officers were able to sit in a meeting and ask a lot of in-depth questions. So if we seem like we're not going to ask any tonight, it would be redundancy. But I want to thank you so much, and have always appreciated all the work that your firm's done on our behalf through the years, and congratulate our financial folks on another stellar year, won another award, several awards regarding our finances and our administrative team. So if we seem silent tonight, it's because we've already combed through these and asked some good questions. So I appreciate what y'all done.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a motion to approve the annual comprehensive financial report for the 2021-2022 fiscal year as presented? Mr. Taggart, have a second from Ms. Baumann. Okay, that passes. All in favor? Okay, good. All in favor. Thank you. That passes. Next item is consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the 2023, 2024, and 2024 and 2025 academic calendars.
As we're opening this up, I want to make sure I thank our audit firm and Melissa. Excellent job. Thank you all for reporting out to us tonight. The 23-24 and 24-25 academic calendars are coming to you tonight. This is an important piece for us and an important next step. We heard from our community in developing calendars over the past couple of years that consistency is important for families to plan things out. So tonight, Dr. Golden is bringing to you 2 calendars to consider. They are similar in nature, and she'll walk you through those, and we'll entertain any questions and potential action on these calendars at the end.
Thank you very much. So I want to just highlight the process that we use this year going into our academic calendar planning for next year. We started with our district-wide education improvement committee, our DWIC committee, that's representative of teachers from every campus. We have district staff and community members, and started with just gathering some feedback on this year's calendar. And so the primary feedback we received, they loved starting the school year midweek, thought that was the most kind to our students, getting back into the swing of things and at the beginning of the year. But they felt we needed additional professional learning. While we front-loaded a lot of that in the beginning of August, they felt like we needed additional days spread throughout. And also really missing a parent-teacher conference day. So really highlighting the importance of parents as partners and wanting to get that explicitly back into the calendar. And so what you see presented this evening, well, first let me continue. After getting feedback from DWIC, we also gathered feedback from our executive team and from principals. We analyzed that feedback and came up with a couple of options, and DWIC helped narrow down some of those options, and then we took all of those 2 primary options out to all of our campuses, and they rank ordered them. So the calendars you see this evening before you are those priority calendars. If you look at 23-24, that is the one that they prioritized, and then as Dr. Smith said, we took the 24-25 calendar and basically mirrored what we were hoping to approve for the 23-24 school year. And so you have 2 calendars that we would like you to consider, and I'm happy to answer any questions this evening.
Hi. Okay, so I served on DWIC way back in the day, so I kind of have an affinity for calendar. One of the things I'm curious about is the starting so early in August, and now we're getting out even the week before the last week of May. So is there a reason why for teachers coming in that early instead of waiting 1 week and then, because even still we could still get out just before Memorial Day?
So the parameters we start out with DWIC are our legal parameters around creating the calendar. And so there are a couple of things that really guide the development of the calendar. One has to do with, of course, the minute requirements. We're required to have a minimum of 75,600 minutes built into the calendar, but we also have the parameter of 187 teacher contract days. So trying to end before Memorial Day weekend, but yet not start too early in August and have those professional development days built in throughout the school year is why that you see that August 16th start date. So it was just trying to meet all of those, both the legal parameters established by the state, but also try to embed in additional professional learning throughout the school day, throughout the school year, and still have the 187 contract days for teachers.
All of those teacher in-service days in August, all teachers, or some of them just new teachers?
It's all teachers, to include our new teachers, and one of the things I want to point out, it's all in pink, and a question we received from the campus was, does that mean there are no teacher work days built into that? It's only professional learning, and the answer is it's actually both. We'll be developing after we approve a calendar, which of the days will be campus work days, campus professional learning days, and district professional learning days for both all staff returning as well as our new to profession.
I think one thing I've learned in all the years of doing this is to not argue with the DWIC committee on this and the principals and the teachers and their input. And so I've always done this for 5 years. This will be whatever, 5 or 6 times. I do know that the days where the teachers can work in their rooms are very important. I know when I first got on the board, Deanna and the previous administration worked hard to give teachers more of those days. I'd like to see that continue and even add more time if possible. But I'm in.
You look like you do.
I do. So for the days in October and February, where we've got 2 days back-to-back of students not in school, I'm assuming we'll have some kind of plan to support students who, I don't know, who need the extra support that they're not going to get in school, and for potentially for families who are going to have some difficulty with that.
I think one of the reasons we wanted to bring 2 years worth of calendars to you, one, to help with that is to try to get as much advance notice and why we're coming to you in December instead of in the past. I think sometimes it's been in January and February to try to get ahead of the communication piece of that. The ones in October, the October 31st one is really to bring parents and they can bring their student up and have really rich parent conferences that can include their students. And so building that time in for that to happen was super important. In terms of instructional minutes for students and support, we have that built in throughout the school year. And hoping that that, plus the additional professional learning for teachers and the forward notice to families will help be kind to them so they have notice for this.
I think the other thing I'll say on that too, I think it's a good point bringing it up, and I think we can probably take a next step in ensuring that families have the right resources maybe to work with kids or know how to access the right resources when school's not in session. We can probably be better at that communication. The benefit of, I'll use the February days as an example. You see that there's a professional learning day on Monday, I believe the 19th. And then a half-day teacher professional learning and half-day teacher workday following that. So y'all remember the Recharge Conference where we bring everybody in the district together as part of goal number 3 about the learning organization that we're trying to develop here. And this is where we have hundreds of sessions going on where we're engaging every staff member with professional learning. The challenge that we have, and the educators up here can probably tell you this from the past, is that if you go to a training and then go back into your classroom the next day, it's really hard to plan to implement that training. And so that's why you see a day following it, is to be able to actually have time for people to work together and work on their plans so that the new things that they learn are able to result in better outcomes for students. And so that's the 2-day, why those are back to back like that in February. The other piece of feedback that we got, and that I think is an important piece to know in this, is you see increased professional learning and teacher work days in here in this calendar as opposed to this last year. The teacher work days, as Ty mentioned earlier, that's an important thing for teachers, particularly right now. And so we felt that it was important to embed some of those days in the calendar this year. but the professional learning as well. Professional learning, similar to that of the field of medicine, we want teachers to continue to learn new and best practices in order to utilize for the sake of our students. Same as the doctors go on rounds on a regular basis, is to learn from each other so that they can be better at their craft for their individual patients. We have that same philosophy. The hard part is that in order to do that, you have to either A, pull teachers out during a regular school day, meaning that you get substitutes for them and school keeps going, or you don't have school on those days. As you all know, the challenge that we have with substitutes in actually being able to fulfill some of those things pushes the priority of professional learning to the side sometimes. And so this calendar, we believe, helps prioritize professional learning. We use this as a resource to help us continually get better for the sake of the instruction for our kids, and that's why you see some of these changes in the calendar this year.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to adopt the 2023-24 and 2024-2025 academic calendars as presented? Ms. Lee? Ms. Bass? All in favor? Okay, thank you. That passes. Next item is consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding new courses for the 2023-24 school year and career and technical education programming updates.
That's a long title right there. Dr. Lovesmith's going to come on up and give us an overview of this. Every year we bring new course proposals to you all for your consideration. This year we're excited to talk to you a little bit about CTE programming updates as well that is wound into this discussion.
Yes, so I'm excited tonight to bring to you, we're seeking approval for new courses, and then we do want to share some updates about some things that are going to be happening in our middle schools. And so when we think about adding new courses, we are keeping at heart our vision and our mission, and that is that we want to offer things that inspire the dreams and empower the futures of our kids. And so really thinking through what do we have and what do we offer in our current coursework, knowing what new courses are coming out there, and then how might that impact our students and what their dreams are for their future. So with that, we are going to add 4 courses that strengthen our cybersecurity and our networking robotics plans. And so we have an networking technologies 1 and 2 courses. So these are innovative courses. They're offered through TEA, and they are direct results of partnerships with our Cisco partners. And so within these, actually the first 3, it's including the practicum as well, these courses will prepare students for IBCs that strengthen our Cisco pathways and specific to their graduation. We're also looking at adding a networking lab course. So this is a course that allows students to do repairs on Chromebooks and to get some hands-on technical experience working with our in-house experts in technology, but it also earns them a high school credit.
Dr. Lovesmith, you just for reiteration, IBCs mean?
I'm sorry. I apologize for using any acronyms like that. It's our industry-based certifications. So as you know, that we're striving for our high school students to meet college, career, and military readiness. And so our CCMR, and so part of that, students can take an industry-based certification, and so these courses will go straight towards that.
Real quick, Deanna, is this both high schools or all 3 high schools?
So unmanned drone strand, so these classes won't directly impact that. From there, we also want to increase our world languages. So part of a high school requirement for graduation is that you earn 2 high school credits in a language other than English. And so we This year, we found ourselves in offering courses through Texas Virtual School Networking, which is an online program through the state. We partner with Belton ISD, and we are able to offer students a foreign language when we do not have or unable to find a teacher. And so that all opened up a world of opportunities that we want to explore and expand. Part of that being Chinese, the other being sign language. Now, we always will look for in-person staff, and that's always our first goal, but if we are unable to at any point in time find the staff accordingly, or if we have fewer students that would like to take these, we can offer it through the virtual network. So we would like to propose adding those 2 courses. And then I'm super excited about these 2 strands. These are 2 AP courses, AP Seminar and AP Research. And Seminar comes first, and you ultimately, if you think about what we're wanting to do with our students and having them inspire their dreams and their pathways and thinking through what they are interested in, what their passions are, these 2 courses allow a student to deeply study something, a research topic of their interest. Ultimately, at the end of the AP research year, it culminates in the 4,000 to 5,000, I think it's word, research paper. And so it's an in-depth study. I've seen it done and talked with other districts that are offering it, where a student is interested in maybe microbiology, and so they work with a professor at a local university to study a topic interest of their choice, and that they're a problem that they're interested in researching, and you equip them over the 2 years to deeply study that. It's a great opportunity to add not only 2 courses in our AP realm, but then these 2 courses combined with a combination of specific scores on the AP exams, as well as taking other AP exams, could lead to an AP capstone diploma designation. So it's just an extra designation that a student could earn. And so we're super interested in exploring this and offering this for our students, and getting kind of to the heart of allowing them to take ownership in their learning and be independent in their studies. And then the final course that we're proposing is the course is commonly known as Opportunity Now. However, the formal course through TEA is General Employability Skills. This is a direct partnership with our Texas workforce, and it supports our special needs students, and it allows them to earn a state credit through an innovative TEA course that supports just general employability skills for our students. And so we felt we have some area districts that are offering that. We've been talking with them, and we see that this would be a great opportunity for our students as well. And so with this, we're proposing these as new courses. Then we currently offer Principles of Health Science. It's a high school course. It's typically your freshman first year course. And we did some site visits this fall with another district that's offering this at their middle school level. And so we are going to move this to our middle school level. It doesn't require board approval in terms of offering the course, because we already offer it. However, we wanted to share that with you because it's a shift to put that in middle school. And we're excited about that opportunity. We have Texas, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought, but Scott and White is getting some new partnerships there, and we'll be partnering with them. And we've been working with some district and some schools out of Houston. So we're really excited about working with them to build this program for our middle school students and allow them an opportunity to start. Health science is a high wage, high demand in our area, and so providing this early on is exciting. In addition, we want to strengthen our robotics. So last year, you may recall, we talked to you in the board about adding Project Lead the Way as our curriculum for robotics at our middle school level. Our push now is that we will get our middle school teachers certified so that we can turn this into a high school credit. And so we keep the course, we keep the curriculum. It's just about getting our teachers certified at the high school level. And then our middle school students would also have an opportunity to earn high school credit for this course and start them on like a computer science pathway earlier than they currently are. And so with that, those are the proposed courses and changes for our students, and I'd certainly entertain any questions you might have.
All right. Thank you very much, Deanna. I'll open it up for discussions.
Can I add one thing real quickly before Chris jumps in on this? The middle school piece is an important piece for us. And the reason we shared it in this presentation is we talk about college career and military ready, or CCMR. The more students that we can get through a completed pathway, meaning that they take a program of study or a sequence of courses and they get an industry-based certification, the better off that is for the student and the better off that is for the school district. So it's an important piece for us. By moving some of these things to the middle school level, what we do is we actually free up more elective opportunities for students at the high school level to either go deeper into their studies, to take another advanced math course if they so choose, to take a course that they might not normally take because it interests them in high school as well. We know we have kids that are interested in the medical profession right now in our middle schools in this area. We have doctors at Baylor Scott and White. We have a brand new Baylor School of Medicine facility that's going to be taking over the A&M facility over in Temple. And we've been talking with them about ways we can have this opportunity for kids in Belton ISD to go through the system and go into potential medical fields. By putting these things at the middle school level, it helps the student and it helps the school district, and it gives them a clear path to their future, which I think directly aligns with the values and beliefs that y'all have outlined. So I wanted to just emphasize how important it is for us to explore these elective opportunities at the middle school level for us.
When Deanna did her big research for the new graduation program that would, enable students to explore more opportunities in high school, one of the things in the survey that was so clear as we studied that was that many students wanted to explore health science throughout high school, but they didn't have room in their schedule when they got to high school. And so a lot of crafting to be able to help them do that at this point, but this is an even better way, because if they're getting interested in middle school, then they'll already know they have a path in high school.
Okay. I got a couple, sorry.
You might
I'll start at the back and kind of work forward, but I'm super excited about the additions to middle school especially. A couple questions here, right? So if they get the high school credit in middle school, I can't remember for life of me how that impacts their GPA, right? How does that carry forward?
So middle school courses do not count towards their weighted GPA, but also introductory courses for CTE do not count even in high school to their GPA. So it doesn't help her. What it will do, though, is it would allow the potential for more advanced courses to be taken in CTE at the high school level.
And deeper, okay. So for these two that we're pulling back into middle school, will they also be offered at the high school level? Like, so if a student chose not to take it in 8th grade, have they missed the opportunity?
No, that's a great question. It's not replacing, it's in addition to. However, we do anticipate it will decrease the numbers at high school, and then it could, allow for other courses.
I think there's also a positive funding, right?
Yes, and that was in my notes. I was supposed to catch that, so thank you for catching that. Yes, so when we offer a CTE course at the middle school, then we receive weighted funding for that student. When they take so many courses in a strand, and the funding increases.
So,
Stephanie Ferguson is behind me right now, and she's so very proud of you for pointing that. She specifically reminded me of that this afternoon.
Now onto the two APs, right? The AP seminar and the AP research. I think what I heard you say is basically you would take these in sequence. Is that?
You take them in sequence. You take seminar first, and then you take research.
Okay. So how do those get scored, right? And what does that translate to potentially at like the university level? right?
So those are new courses for us. I don't know exactly what an equivalent would be. So remember, at a university level, every single college or university makes a determination whether or not they will count those courses. What I will tell you is it may not be a direct correlation into coursework, but it is a talking point. It's a booster for an application that you deeply studied something. If it's something you're passionate about and in college you've gotten a 2-year head start on it, you've picked up the skills for critical thinking, one of our values, the researching behind that.
Oh yeah, no, tons of benefit. Yeah, absolutely.
Tons of benefit.
Yeah, tons of benefit. This is a great essay starter for your entrance essay and all that kind of good stuff. So, no, that's great. And then also really excited about the IT stuff. I'm not going to ask you any questions about the IT stuff. All right. No, thank you so much.
Ms. Bass?
Just a quick comment and a question. I'm amazed and excited about what you guys do day in and day out. I mean, you're in front of kids every day, but you're still looking ahead in how we can continue to provide exceptional learning experiences in the future. And because school is changing, education is changing, and just the looking ahead, I'm really proud of the work that y'all are doing there. Just a clarifying question, the AP courses, everything after the CT, are all of those going to be offered at all 3 high schools? And then will the middle school, will that be at all 4 middle schools? Just clarifying.
That is our goal. When we offer a course, it does need to make. And so an ideal make for a course is 15 students. And so if a course doesn't have at least 15 students, then that course may not make that year. Sometimes then we will look at staggering the course. So like we might offer, it 1 year and then not the next. And so we just kind of work with the campuses on that. We do make sure students have the equivalent of courses at each campus. And our intention for the health science is for every middle school.
And then just a follow-up, it would be great to have a follow-up, I guess maybe a year from now or sometime to hear the update on how you all implemented it.
How do students learn that there's a new course offered?
So a couple of ways. So we will be releasing, I believe by the end of this week, our course catalog. We'll communicate that out. We'll make sure that gets to parents, and we put our new courses in there. When we do the blurb, we'll do some communication with parents. We can highlight what are the new courses that we're offering, and then we'll make sure that we also get with our counselors, do some presentations. They have some presentations coming up with parents, and they'll be able to communicate that there as well. We haven't talked about it with students yet. We can't do that before we come to you all. So we do this with the intention that we want the course to make, if not next year, within the following. So we're trying to get ahead of that.
I think the key voices in that discussion is our counselors. So as soon as these courses are approved, we go through a process where that course catalog is updated, and then our counselors, when they're meeting with students individually to sign up for their courses for the next year, have to know these courses inside and out so that they can get students in there potentially.
We are doing a push with our counselors to offer parent individual conferences with parents, and they'll be doing that starting in the spring so that we can really boost that communication with parents.
Well, great work. Thank you very much. Do we have a motion regarding the approval of the proposed courses as listed? Ms. Bass? Mr. Floor? Okay. All in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. Next items, consider, discuss, take appropriate action regarding the adoption of attendance boundary parameters.
We haven't talked about this in a long time, and so I thought it would be appropriate to have Mike go through another presentation for about 45 or 50 minutes, and just kidding. Thank you all for engaging in our workshop on the attendance boundaries. As I've mentioned earlier, this is an important piece of the process for us because you as board members help determine what these priorities are for us to draw attendance boundary maps and have dialogue with our community about them. So thank you for engaging in that. Mike, it's all yours.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us tonight. Thanks for the great dialogue earlier, and thanks for taking part in an important process.
Mike, you need to use the handheld microphone.
Normally my volume, I can get my coaching voice out really quick too if I need to. We do want to thank you for taking part in the process tonight. This is a kind of an important milestone in the development of the attendance boundaries that could impact a lot of students as we open new elementary schools and add to elementary schools to handle our growth. So based on our conversation earlier tonight and based on the protocol that we went through, I would recommend as administrative team tonight that we adopt the following 5 as our prioritized attendance boundary parameters, with the top one being to account for growth, second, socioeconomic factors, third, neighborhood unity, fourth, family impact, and fifth, feeder pattern alignment. And knowing that as we construct the proposed boundaries that will be presented out and ultimately brought to you for consideration, that these be the parameters that we prioritize in that work.
All right. Questions, Ms. McDonald? Yes, ma'am. It's like we just finished a workshop on this or something. Everybody's full of knowledge right now. Okay. Thank you very much, Coach Morgan. Do we have a motion to adopt the attendance boundary parameters as presented? Ms. McDonald? Mr. Alcozer? All in favor? All right. That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Next, we will move on to reports. The first report is the 2022-2023 Mid-Year Academic Achievement Report.
Dr. Lovesmith, on our way back up, as a board, over the past 2 years in our Team of 8 training, we have talked specifically about being able to talk with you more about progress toward our goals and making sure that you as a board are well informed about how we're progressing in our academic pursuits in particular. And so tonight, this is similar to last year, but a next evolution for us. We're going to review with you some interim assessment data and let you know where we are right now and some of the good work going on in our school district, but also some of the work we have left to do.
Yes, so I do want to update you on our current achievement. And so we're going to talk tonight about STAR interim assessments and CCMR. And one thing I do want to point out is that through the course of the fall, we have a variety of assessments that we use to measure where students are, and teachers use formative assessments, they use STAR Renaissance, and they use STAR Interim. And so this is one of the assessments that we'll be talking about. There's always a challenge in that you don't want to over-rely on any one thing, but you do want to use it as a data point in what we're looking at with our students. And so first we're going to begin with our House Goal 3 goals. And so as you may recall, we adopted those several years ago. There are 3 very specific goals. The first is in relation to, we're required to address 3rd grade math. And so our goal would be that we'd be looking at the meets. So remember, there's those 3 levels. There's the student approaches, there's the meets, which is your on grade level, and then there's a master. So we're always looking at that meets area. For math, we would be at 60% by June of 2024. And so that was the standard across the state that you would end with a 2024 goal. And that goal was originally set prior to COVID. 3rd grade meets for STAR, that was for ELA. And then we would have our reading, we would have a 3rd grade meets for math, and that would be 52% to 60% by 2024. And then we would address our percentage of graduates that meet the criteria for CCMR, our college, career, and military readiness. And we would increase from 72%, which was our last year benchmark, and our goal is to be at 100% by our August 2024, which is our 2023 graduates. In addition to our House Bill 3 goals, we set, with our goal 2, we set an internal key progress measure for our ELAR and our math. And specifically in those, we talked about addressing our professional, we would provide ongoing learning for our teachers in math, for specifically targeting grades 3rd, 5th, 7th, and high school algebra 1. And then for our ELAR for 3rd, 5th, 6th, and our English 1 language arts teachers. Currently, our progress on that is that we are on track in offering that professional learning. As of December 1, we had held 16 of the 38 days we planned to hold for this school year. So now we're going to look at STAR interim results. So STAR interim is designed by the state. It is a predictor of how a student will do on the STAR test at the end of the year. It calculates how a student performs on a first set of questions, and then it starts to change the questions for the student based on how they're performing. So if they're doing well, it will ask harder questions. If they're struggling, it will ask easier questions. And then it uses that data to serve as a predictor for how they'll do on the end of the year assessment. Over time, the more interim tests that a student takes in an area, the more data it collects on that student, the more it's able to use it to predict. So when we present data, we like to look at it in a number of ways to see kind of what that's telling us. So the first way is to look at it from one grade level to that same grade level this year. So comparing from last year how 3rd graders did, this year how our 3rd graders doing. So that can kind of test our curriculum in general, but they're different sets of kids. Also on this data, you'll see red bars. The red bars show, so if you look at this is for our English language arts, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. If you'll see where our 3rd graders came in, then you can see that red bar shows where did they perform on the end of the STAR assessment. So how did they do on that interim, and then where did they end up at the end of the year? And then we put in a black bar, and so we look at other districts. We look at other districts that are like us. We look at districts in our region and our area. We look at districts that we know have strong instructional practices, even if their district doesn't mirror us. But this particular data set is a district that's very close to us. In size, they're about 100 miles away from us. Their demographics are very similar, and what we see is that they're performing higher than we are. And so that gives us kind of that bar that we're looking at to challenge ourselves. And so what you can see in ELAR, and what this is telling us right now, is that we see some increases in this year's 3rd graders, but we see a slight dip in our 4th grade. So we're starting to look at what's happening in that particular level curriculum-wise. What do we need to do to support our staff with our students? And then we look at the data in comparison by the actual group of kids. So that first data point was 1 3rd grade to the next year's 3rd grade. This data tells me how did last year's 3rd grade do this year's 4th graders, because now we're looking at same kids. And what we see there is that our 3rd to 4th grade, so even though that 4th grade seemed to not be making a movement, compared to last year, the same group of kids, we do see an increase in them. So it's looking at that data in varying ways. It identifies for us what are our strengths. It also identifies where we have some challenges. And then we looked at our middle school. We can see increases from our 6th grade from one year to the next. We see a pretty significant increase in 7th grade, and then our 8th grade stays about the same. And then again, we'll look at that. But then again, you can see where we perform, and you can see that in 8th grade, in 7th grade, we actually are right where that district was that we're looking at. But you can see in other areas where they're, especially in 6th grade, there's a pretty big difference. And so we can learn from them. It tells us where we need to really push, and you see that we're making some of that movement in 6th grade. And then you can see comparison by cohort. And so again, you'll see, well, how did the last year's 5th grade do to 6th, 6th to 7th, and then 7th to 8th? We are working specifically with our middle schools because we see some challenges across multiple data points in that 7th and 8th grade year. And then we look at our high school. So this is our English 1 and 2. And you can see our English 1 and 2 is really about the same. We're not seeing the growth that we would like to see in those areas. And again, the same is true when we look at the cohort data. So working intensely with our English 1, we have some, and 2, we have some professional learning that we're conducting in January. In addition to what we've already planned, we've been working with the campuses to target what they need to support our teachers, to support our students in those areas. Then we go to our math, and we look, so math, we have set math as a high target area. We are not performing where we would like to be. You can see that in our data compared to our comparable district. However, we are seeing some movement in our across all 3 grade levels in our math when you look at it from last year to this year, and then also when you look at it by cohort, especially from 3rd to 4th grade. So we are excited about what we're seeing in our elementary math. We're continuing to support our teachers there to meet our students' needs. And then our inter-math at middle school, we still see some struggles. When you look from 6th to 6th grade, you see an increase. Remembering in 7th grade is when we do separate out, and our students will go into pre-advanced classes and start to take an 8th grade test, and we do have some 8th graders that then start to take Algebra 1. And again, we look at our comparable groups, and so we see some movement in 6th grade, but we're not seeing the types of gains we'd like to see specifically in 7th and 8th. And so we are focusing on supporting our teachers in those areas as well, so that we can get our students where we'd like to see them. In Algebra 1, we see about the same performance as in the past. We do see a gain from 8th to Algebra 1. However, I do want to point out that Algebra 1 includes some advanced students as well. So Algebra 1 continues to be a focus for us as we support our students. And then our CCMR data. So CCMR can be college and career military readiness can be met in a number of ways. Just as a reminder, you can meet this through our the TSI, the Texas Student Initiative Assessment. You can meet it in your AP coursework. You can meet it through SAT achievements, ACT. You can meet it through an individualized education plan as a special education student. You can meet it through AP courses. There are a number of ways. Our industry-based certifications allow students to meet this criteria. And so our high schools track each student and the progress and where they're at in order to meet. Our goal is 100%. We continue to struggle to get every single student to meet a CCMR credit. And so they're working individually with them, or they're working with students, they're working with parents. And right now our data is showing that we're a little bit ahead from where we were last year. We have a lot of assessment coming up in the spring for this area. So this continues to be an area of focus for us.
Just for anybody watching, I want to clarify that BOY is not boy. It means beginning of year. That can be confusing.
I apologize for my acronyms tonight, but yes, thank you. I should have mentioned that from the beginning. So anytime we use BOY, I believe that may be the only place for this year. It is beginning of the year. Most of our academic assessments, so like our Star Renaissance, will do some middle of the year assessments, and those will be happening in January, and we'll update you on those results as well. Any questions or?
So when we're looking at any of the charts that have the red and the black bars, help me understand the difference between like the top of the stacked bars and like the red bar, right? So I'm having a hard time wrapping my.
I apologize. So let's look at this one. So the purple bar is the percent of students that were approaches. The blue is the where students are at meets. The green is where they are at masters. So this is the predictor. So right now for that assessment, you're predicting at probably about 52%. However, last year, that red bar is where we actually came in for STAR end of the year assessment. So the predictor was lower than what we achieved. You'll see that in most of them. What we are seeing as we're analyzing this data, I was talking with someone today in our department that said they're seeing almost a 90% correlation, and it's either predicting you to pass or it's predicting lower than what you do. Rarely does it ever predict that you'll do better than you actually do. So it's pretty good data for us. So when I think about myself as a secondary math teacher, and I teach about 135 students, that's a lot of responsibility placed on me to know my students, to know if they will or will not be successful on an assessment. So what this test does is it helps me make sure I can check myself with what I see that student doing in class, how they're performing on my assessments, how they're performing on other assessments, to see where I need to support them. The black bar on that says, you know what, there's a district that we're watching that's performing higher than us. So a lot of times when you talk to people about looking at other districts that are performing higher than you, we often hear things like, but they're bigger, they have more resources, they don't have the same population. So what we did was we found a school that is about our size, that's demographically very similar to us, that's geographically very close to us. And then we say, well, they're performing, so what are they doing? And how do we push? That black bar to me that's a push for our system to not just say, well, we might be performing higher than anyone in the region, or we might be performing higher than the neighboring school, but to really push ourselves to say, but where could we be? So that's what that black bar to me means. So how do we continue? And you think about our mindset of continuous improvement, how do we push ourselves to that?
Okay, thank you. No, that definitely helps. I wasn't connecting the predictor to how we actually scored.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that the red line and the gray line on each slide like this are end of the year STAR assessments. The stacked bar graph that you see there is our interim assessment. So you can see end of the year performance, there was a gap last year.
So does the interim look at the entire curriculum for the year, or does it only look at like what you should have gotten through to the year at that point?
It looks at everything, and so it's easy for people to dismiss the test and say, well, I haven't taught that. And so we're really trying to strengthen that knowledge even within our system to say, but it's a predictor, and my understanding is it takes like 10 questions, and then the first 10, the way you answer them is how it generates whether the next questions that it's going to ask you in the system.
So on the elementary math front, I mean, I'm super excited to look at that cohort comparison, right? I mean, that looks like some really good improvement. So, I mean, dare I ask, like, what are we doing? Like, what did we do? That's awesome here, right?
Well, I think we've had a lot of intentionality with our teachers to support them with professional development. They are working incredibly hard. We are returning more and more to what a normal pre-COVID school year felt like. When you think about instruction and how the past couple of years have impacted instruction and just the fear of small groups and manipulative uses and there's just been so much absences that have been taken into account. And so just it's a combination of things we are our teachers, we see, especially at our elementary level, when they come in for professional development and we're working with them, we see them going back, they're using some strong PLC practices in place. We're seeing some really great things, not only over overall, so this is very high level, but that we look at it much deeper and by campus, and the campuses look at it by their individual staff, so we can really dissect what we have strength for.
Will you specifically tell them a little bit about the elementary design days that teachers have been going through for professional learning? Because designing the work that's at the right rigor level is important in this conversation.
Absolutely. So the biggest challenge that we have and what we want to see in classrooms is work designed at the grade level and rigor of the TEAC. And that is really hard. It seems to be a hard concept, especially in math, because there is a tendency to say, well, if a kid isn't there yet, let me give them below grade level work to get them to be successful to get there. And that's a struggle. And so what we've been doing, and I shout out to our team for instructional design days, they unpack TEACs. So they are taking the grade level standard for a specific TEAC, and they're breaking it down so that everyone has common understanding of exactly what that TEAC is asking students to do and at what level. So if it's saying describe, how are they describing it? What if, sometimes there's a range of numbers, so are they getting into that range of expectation? So they're breaking that TEAC down. They're getting common language around it. They're getting common vocabulary around it. They discuss what TEACs were taught to lead up to that, what TEACs will come after that as extension, and then they're designing work that is grade level. And then they're talking about how will they assess that? How will they assess that as a grade level? How will they assess that in the classroom? So that we're really pushing students to be performing at grade level rigor.
The last one is, when last time I was on campus, right, we got to see some of the new phonics curriculum in practice, which is super cool. I mean, those kids were more engaged in an English lesson than I'd ever seen in my life, probably more than I ever was. What other help do you need from us, right? Like, is there anything that you need from us or anything that we can do, either from a policy standpoint or anything else, like to help accelerate on the English and language arts side?
I think, knowing the data, we want to continue to keep you abreast on what we're doing. We continue to say our teachers are our greatest resource. And so you all put a lot of support in our teachers and help ensuring we have high quality teachers. And when we talk about our budgets and you're looking at budgets, we're adopting funding for high quality support. Those KPMs, thinking about the fact that we're going to offer 38 of those days. And so that's 38 days where we're pulling teachers and we're getting, our whole system works to support that type of learning is essential. We're continuing to work with our teachers. We're doing some math framework work right now. We've had a committee of about 30 plus teachers that have come some evenings to deeper understand the research practices behind math, and we'll be sharing that framework with you when it's fully developed. And then we're listening to them and what types, we're in some conversations today on what types of resources they need. So that phonics resource, but you mentioned saw as a direct result of teachers saying this is what we need. We pull teachers together, we research materials that are out there, they're doing pilot stages of that, and then once we land on what that need is, we'll be incorporating that into our budget.
I'd also say do what you're doing right now. The more time we can spend talking about these things, it is a team of 8, the better off we are. I applaud Deanna for putting in a bar there with a comparison district. I personally, and you notice we're not compared to our region anymore, and we're not compared to a state average. There's deliberate actions behind that because we should be leading this area in a lot of academic things, and we should be better than the state average. And so our job is to stretch this and to stretch our capacity some and to invest in ways that teachers are doing things great. Let them have a voice, but then provide the professional learning that goes along with that too. So when we see those bright spots happen in our system, support the heck out of them and allow them to be in front of the other teachers so that they can learn from each other. That's why that calendar that you adopted is so important to us. When Deanna, will you go back to the key progress measure? Deanna glossed over that, but this is a really big deal. So with this math lift that we have right now, you see that there needed to be 38 sessions held with teachers throughout the year. We don't have 38 professional development days in our calendar. So what's happening right now, in our calendar right now doesn't have many professional development days. So these teachers are being pulled out of classroom instruction in order to have that learning experience. So the adoption of your calendar as a resource helps us with a focus on academic achievement as well. The focus on being able to adopt goals that stretch us as a system are ending up good for kids, because we believe the more we can actually get kids doing the work at the grade level that they need to be doing the work at, the better results that we'll be seeing. So please, to answer your question directly, what can we do as a team of 8 and what can you do as board members? Ask the questions, stretch us, try and make sure that we're striving every day to be the best in Texas, because ultimately our kids deserve it.
I will echo to the adoption of a 2-year calendar is an immense value asset to us as we're planning. We were talking about that today and thinking about how we can utilize some of those days in August and with our teachers when they're all here specifically for some math. And so knowing ahead of time, we can get speakers and presenters lined up that are high quality. So that is a huge asset as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the hard work. Next is the 2022 bond progress update. I will bet that it's Mike Morgan.
We have a lot of exciting news for you. We're going to breeze through it rather quickly, but there's a lot of work going on. Special thanks to Mike, David Bennett, Steve, all of the guys that are working on a regular basis, and special thanks to people like Melissa Lafferty, our CFO, who's helping with all of this as well. We got good work happening through our system. Mike, take it away.
Yeah, I wanted to mention old habits. Thank you. I'm very pleased to bring this update to you tonight. I was going to say also you can add purchasing, communications, and some of those teams too. It really is a team effort. We're very pleased with the cooperation we're getting from the different architects, the 3 different architects and the 3 different construction managers that we're currently working with. And really, some of the greatest and some of the funnest moments so far has been to work with our directors, our teachers, our band directors, our principals, some assistant principals in some cases. I mean, we've really had stakeholder involvement from day one. And I think this week at Belton High School has been some of the funnest meetings that the team has gotten to have. I haven't been at all of them with meeting with all of our CTE folks and kind of looking at what those spaces are going to look like as we move forward. So without further ado, I'd like to move on. We're here tonight to update you on the bond projects. So I want to start with the elementary schools, and this will be a high-level look, but I do want to leave time for questions because I know that there might be some things, and we will have a more in-depth look with our facilities committee coming up at our next meeting. But Burrell Elementary, formerly known as Elementary Number 12, we are really excited about that. Current construction activity is focused on foundation work, including the installation of all the underground utilities, the structural grade beams, and coming soon is the installation of the concrete foundation, which will begin just in a matter of weeks. So you can see there the picture to the top left is a lot of the plumbing and electrical infrastructure that's going in there that the foundation will cover. At Hubbard Branch Elementary, we are getting very close to finishing the construction documents. We anticipate that to take the project to permitting from the City of Belton in December and start contractor bidding in January and come to you guys shortly thereafter with GMP and then start construction in early spring of 2023. Southwest Elementary, you can see here on the picture, we have worked through the initial schematic design with our architect and with our construction manager and with stakeholders at the campus. We are looking to fulfill the project of the bond, which would be the additional 10 classrooms, a music and art space, some teacher work areas, and a new gymnasium. And you can see, to kind of put it in context there on the map, you can see the loop down at the bottom of the campus picture. That's the main entrance. So if you went straight down the main split hallway, kept going straight, you would go into the new academic wing. If you hung a right, like you're headed to the cafeteria, then you would make it to the gymnasium. So we are pleased with this design. We feel like that we've captured the intent of the bond program, and we feel like that we've had a lot of campus voice in this. You can see there too, to the right, that we're trying to kind of model similar instructional space that our new elementary design would have, which would be a classroom academic wing with some collaborative and flex space there in the middle as well. So really excited about Southwest Elementary. We anticipate final designs being completed by the end of 2022, and in construction to begin in late spring, and in completion prior to the start of the 2024 school year. Lake Belton Middle School, here you can see we saw the very fine job that the Lake Belton Middle School Jazz Band did here for us tonight. You can also see the top picture there to the right would be an early rendition of what the middle school band hall would look like. You can also see the conceptual design, and then notice that these are still labeled draft. They're not final schematic designs yet, but we're getting closer every time we meet. You can see kind of the plans for right now, what the band hall would look like to serve those students in those community. And then the picture down on the bottom right would be the new entrance with concessions, restrooms, and some additional locker room space for our PE kids and for athletics there. And so to put it into perspective, the band hall would be on the west side of the building, kind of where the parent drop-off is off of Cedar. The athletic addition would be around on the east side of the building where the gym entrances are and where our bus parking currently goes. Belton High School additions and renovations. You can see here that you can see to the top right would be what the new CTE addition would likely look like. And to put that in perspective, that's where the current parent loop comes and drops off there on the back of the school. So as you would go straight into the cafeteria, and just to the right of that would be where the CTE addition would be. And then at the bottom picture, you can see a likely rendition of what the new band hall could look like. And that will be there to the west, facing west off the building, where the three portables are across the parking lot from the natatorium. So those will be the two new construction pieces. We're also happy that there's going to be some renovations to current existing CTE, and there will also be some renovations to the existing band hall to turn that into a black box theater. So those are the types of things that we're looking at currently in that project. Belton High School, just like Southwest and just like Lake Belton, we're nearing the completion of design documents. We will start going into the construction document phase, and then we'll start construction later this spring on each, and both should be finished, or all three should be finished prior to the start of the 2024 school year. Delta program and our ag facility expansion, you can see here to the left is not necessarily what our ag facility is going to look like, but it's what it could look like. So it's a conceptual phase right now. We have neared the end of programming for these two projects, and hopefully are about to select an architect to move forward. So we would move into schematic design on these two projects, and would hope to get that done and then start construction as soon as possible. You can also see, as we've worked with our special programs team, our Delta program teachers, you can see a concept for what a Delta program facility could look like. And so we look forward to starting both of those. We'll have more information after an architect comes on board and we start the actual schematic design process, and completion would be likely to occur by the summer of 2024 on both of these projects as well.
Mike, real quick, can you tell the board just what we've been doing when you talk about a programming phase and what we've been doing with both the Ag Barn and the Delta program facility, because if we haven't hired the architect yet, which they're considering tonight, just give them a little background on the work that has been going on.
That's a great question, and I apologize for not digging into that. So we started with our stakeholders. So let's take the Delta program, for instance. We've had the Delta program for a number of years. It's been housed at Belton High School and at Lake Belton High School over time. And so we started with our executive director of special programs, our director of special education, and other members of their team. And we started just kind of dreaming on what would a program need to have to really serve the kids that are in need of those skills and that training and are ready to transition into the next phase of their life. So you can see there that as we talk about a facility of that nature, that it needs to be able to meet the multitude of needs that the students have to get them ready for that transition. So then they took the initial discussion, went back, had a talk with their teachers, and kind of got their input on what an ideal facility would look like. And in the meantime, we have talked to architects. We've looked at other school districts and the models and facilities that they've created. I know that members of our special programs team have been to different facilities across the state, and I think even have looked at the brand new and what I hear quite remarkable facility at UMHB that serves the needs for a similar type program. And so what we've come up with is the programming, which would be what would be the desired elements that this facility would have. And so as we bring in an architect, it will be their job to kind of take those ideas, take those concepts, take those needs, and then help us work that into a schematic design that not only we can get done, but also meets the needs of our students, and we can do it within our budget. So those are the types of things that we've had to consider. For our ag facility, we started with a discussion with members of our CTE leadership and kind of got caught up to speed on prior discussions that have happened with our ag teachers, our ag kids, and our ag families. And then we had our initial stakeholder meeting with our ag teachers from both high schools. We had 8 total ag teachers there, and we kind of started from scratch and had them walk us through their dream, their vision, not only of what we could do with an addition to our ag facility, but how we might make our existing facility that's there better as well. So we have likely will end up with a new facility that houses our hog and poultry programs and renovation of our existing facility to take care of our sheep, goats, and cows. So that's we think that we'll have a facility that can much better meet the needs of a growing agriculture program, and for those kids that need a place to house their animals during show season and as they raise and support them as well.
Hey, Mike, for the Delta program, are we still looking for a location?
We have, so this will be a pretty good discussion coming up, where we have looked and we've had our some people looking for us in the community to see if there's any existing commercial property that might fit that need. So far, we haven't found any. So right now, we are evaluating sites that we currently have. And we feel like we've identified 4 to 5 sites of currently owned property where a facility like this could do well. And we hope to come back, get some a little more in depth once we get our architect on board, let them evaluate the sites as well, and then come back to you all with a recommendation on where we would like to build. So the last couple of things, transportation, we've covered this before, but we have ordered 15 77 passenger route service and trip buses, and we've ordered 5 54 passenger special needs buses. I'm glad to report that we've heard that the first shipment, first delivery should happen in January. So we're actually going to see some new buses enter the fleet, and we'll see those out on trips and out on routes and serving the needs of our students this spring. And then safety and security, I wanted to give you a brief update on that. We don't ever go into as much detail on our safety and security items, but I will say that I'm very pleased with the work of our district and our bond exploration committee, and ultimately the recommendations that y'all approved in February. There's been a re-emphasis from Texas Education Agency with some school safety allotments, some school safety grants coming out, and we're anticipating a push for some new safety standards in the legislative session. A lot of the same items that we're reading about, we're learning about, and as we listen to TEA, are the same things that we were prioritizing in our bond. And so we're excited that some of the projects that we had in our bond, we're actually probably going to be able to accomplish some of those with some state funding through the safety allotment. But we will say we are working in finishing up programming in the playground expansion. We're talking with vendors, hoping to have some pricing and scheduling on playgrounds in the coming month or so. And then we also have been working on the schematic design for our secure vestibules at the facilities that need those. And we hope to get pricing and scheduling on those in the next month or so as well. So those were the two biggest ticket items on our safety and security package. And we have been working throughout the fall, and we hope to get those going. And we would love to have secure vestibules being built next summer. And we would like to have all of our playground safe fall protection, accessibility, and those projects done in a similar time frame like we did in 2019, which would be a kickoff right at the end of school and completion as closely to the near of the beginning of school as possible. So those are the two big projects we're working on in the safety and security. And then I always want to remind our community that we do have updated bond information on our bond website. We also had a meeting of our bond oversight committee last Monday, and we went through about a 40-slide presentation with them. That presentation is available online as well. And at this time, I'd like to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. I don't see any questions, so thank you, Mike. All right. Now we have the superintendent's report.
Trustees, we've spent a little bit of time talking tonight a little bit about the career and technical education options for students, and specifically some STEM options for students. So tonight I'd really like to focus in on a couple of things that expand that about the student experience. First, I want to talk to you a little bit about Goal 1, how we're working to support the engagement of all stakeholders in our system, and 2, ensuring exceptional learning experiences for each and every student. First thing that you can see here, we have some astute learners at Tarver Elementary School. They had a challenge to design the Edible Earth Project. And so that's what you see in front of them. When we talk about learning that makes students engaged or helps students to become engaged, we also don't talk about learning that isn't high quality and focused on the right level of rigor that students need. Thought this was a great, cute example for y'all to take a look at. As you all have been visiting campuses, as I visit campuses every week, it's amazing to see what our teachers do with our students on a regular basis. This is just one of those things that we see on a regular basis that come to life in our classrooms. Our teachers truly are one of our greatest resources, as Deanna mentioned, and we believe they're doing some exceptional work with our students. I'm going to hit the rest of these items as I walk through the pictures. When we talk about student experience as well and something exceptional, I think it's important to talk about the fine arts experiences that we have in our system. We know the power of music and the power of working together in collaborative teams that students need to engage in a school system. The more they're able to work with each other to solve problems and create something new, the better off they're going to be in the world when they face that job or the next step after their education. Fine arts performances in our system show that on a regular basis. Our directors, our conductors, they are masters at what we call formative assessment. They give ongoing feedback to our students about tweaks on how to make their product better, how to work with each other, and how to build off the strengths of each other in the system. And you see that in the experiences that our students put on. Last week, I was able to go to multiple performances in our system. So many so that I got one of the programs mixed up on Twitter when I posted it. But I fixed that. But I share that with you, like when we got to see the Magic Bells, when Summer and I went and saw the Magic Bells perform, and when we saw the Silver Spurs last night perform, when we saw the orchestra at Lake Belton High School, and as we recognized 2 students that received all state recognitions as freshmen and sophomores in school. Like, these learning experiences are nothing short of exceptional for our kids. And it's not just about the performance, it's about the learning that goes in when they're trying to make music with people sitting next to them that they might not have ever met before. There is a whole lot of learning that happens beyond regular classroom experiences that I believe wholeheartedly enriches the lives of our students. I think these next things are important to point out too, and again, you can see we're honoring students at New Tech High School for academic achievements that night as we continue to work on things like math and the importance of knowing and understanding math at deeper levels and explaining math with each other. Those things eventually lead to students performing at the highest levels. So that tie-in of exceptional learning is extremely important in our system. Again, one of the things that I want to highlight on this is you see this coach at Lake Belton High School, and I got to sit right behind the bench as I was watching this the girls basketball team one night. And I heard her talking specifically to the players individually about how they can take a next step and stay competitive in that game. And it was a nail-biter of a game. But she was giving ongoing feedback to them about their role in helping their team succeed. Again, if we think about this journey of a graduate skills that we want to see come to fruition for our students, these experiences that kids have are extremely important. I think it's also important to point out that we spent time not only as a school district talking about math performance, but as Region 12, we got together and had the ability to work with Texas Instruments and talk about math, and specifically math achievement and what we're seeing across the state. We know that there are challenges across the state in math, but we're proud of the work, as Deanna pointed out, that we've seen so far in our district. We have to keep building on that because we've mentioned numerous times we don't know the full implications of COVID on our students yet, especially students that were at the pre-K, kinder, first grade level, and that had school shut down for a few weeks on them in one year, and then had significantly altered school experiences the next year. We have to keep after that, and Region 12 has supported us in that as well. Similarly, we've engaged with the Future Ready Superintendents Leadership Network that I've told you all about. This is a group through TASA. It's a network of superintendents across the state that study best practices for kids. And we just recently got the opportunity to work down in Tomball ISD for a couple of days, learn from what they're doing. Every one of the campuses in Tomball ISD, there are about 22,000 students, is an A-rated campus. And so talking to them, learning from them, figuring out what they are doing to help create those experiences for kids and ensure that the quality of their schools is high is an important piece of our learning journey in Belton ISD. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Beef Prize Patrol. Y'all know that we got to hand out one of the best parts of my job that my father still can't believe I get to do, but I get to go hand out beef grants. And when you're handing out money to classroom teachers who, at the heart of it all they're trying to do is create something more exceptional for the kids in their classroom, and you get to go help make that come to life by handing out those checks to those teachers. It's pretty special. So I want to very clearly thank BEEF, our educational foundation, for their support and their continued focus on innovative grants that help us push the envelope for student learning in our system. Faith-based leaders got together and met again recently. We had an outstanding meeting with them. We talked about ways to get them engaged in the classroom and specifically focusing on elementary reading, because we know those reading goals that you all set as a board are important. And so we're looking for ways to engage volunteers in our system to help us with elementary reading moving forward. And then finally, Watchdogs Coffee with the superintendent. We've worked hard to expand the Watchdogs groups on our campuses. Again, these are typically dads, can be grandfathers, can be moms sometimes, but often dads who are volunteering their time to help out at their school. They go in, they go through a training, they have the ability to get some direction from the administrators at the school, and then they help out for the day and volunteer for the day. And you'd be amazed at some of the stories that they shared out. All they want to do is they want to help make their schools better. They want to make sure that they're there for the kids, and they want to provide good mentorship for our students in our system. So I wanted to start to focus in on our goals that you all have set for us as a school district and align my superintendent presentations with them. I hope that you see through these talking points tonight We're heavily focused in our system on exceptional learning for each and every student. That doesn't just mean the academic learning in the classroom. That means the other learning that goes on in our system. And secondly, these ways that we engage with partners such as Beef, such as Watchdog, such as our faith-based groups in our community help enrich the learning experience for the kids in Belton ISD. Thank you all for all the support you provide for us as an administrative team to do good work in our system. We're proud of what's going on, and we know we've got big work left to do.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull an item for discussion? Mr. Floor?
Can we pull item M, which is a license agreement with the city of Belton regarding the closure of North Blair Street during school days?
Sure.
I don't have any specific questions on it necessarily, but I think there's like a public interest to talk about this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would make a motion then that we can consider it all with the exception of item M.
Okay. Do we want to discuss item M right now? Or do you want to just?
Either before or after, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
We're more than welcome to discuss it before y'all enter into a vote if you like,
Yeah.
if that works for you.
Okay, so we discuss it now and then include it all together?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, I'm going to ask Mike Morgan to come on up. This item is one that we've been exploring when we talk about safety and security in our system. This is one of those topics that I think is a great step for us moving forward. Mike.
Sure, and I'm happy to talk about this one. We're really excited about it, and I believe the city is as well. So we have, at our New Tech campus, it's kind of a split campus. So we have students that are on the east side of North Blair Street, and then we also have cafeteria, 2 student parking lots, and some academic offerings on the west side of North Blair Street as well. So as it currently stands, that it's open to through traffic throughout the day. And so students have to go down to the corner of 3rd and Blair, cross at the stop sign, and then go to wherever other area they need to go to. So as we were kind of discussing some safety issues and items with some of our city partners and with Belton Police Department, the thought kind of came up is, would it benefit and create a safer environment to have some areas of the street closed off during the instructional day where students could pass more freely? So we came up with an original thought process and plan. We met with city officials and kind of explained that plan to them and got feedback from them. Then we met with the principal from New Tech High School and from our Belton Early Childhood School to get their feedback on it as well. We drafted the proposal that's presented to you tonight, took it back to the city of Belton to see how they felt about it. And so kind of in conjunction with us bringing this agreement forward tonight, the city of Belton will be presenting at their city council meeting tomorrow night as well. So the intent is to, in a fairly inexpensive way, other than having the manpower to set up and take down the barricades each day, would be to, from the time of arrival in the morning until dismissal in the afternoons, that we could close those 2 portions of Blair Street between 3rd and the south side of 4th, and then the north side of 4th, and just before 5th Street.
Just to, I was asked up here if we had a slide for this board. We don't have a slide. It's in your packet. So those of you that use Board Book, you know that it's in there. It's item 7. Excuse me, hold on one second, I'll tell you. It's item 7M, and you can see on there that it has a Blair Street closure map attached to that as well that Mike was just walking you through.
I don't think this is a new concept. I remember back when this was a shared dual campus for our middle schools, when it was all still in the same campus, they had the metal gates with the wheels on them that they closed. So this isn't something new for the people in Belton that have been around for a little bit. And it's just easy that this is for safety of our students. So I don't know what the concerns would be.
A little more ease of access for those students, and then still having the through traffic on 4th Street should minimize impact on just the small number of houses that are still around this area.
Yeah. So thank you for finding a really easy solution, right? I mean, I don't know that it could get any easier. So thank you for the safety of our kids for finding a great way with the city to pull this off.
I will say, probably, we haven't put a timetable to it yet. We're going to see how tonight and tomorrow night goes. We will need some time, not only to get materials here and work and figure out schedules and responsibilities, but also to come up with a really good communication plan for our families, have good resources for visitors that are coming to campus, things like that, adjust some transportation, pick up and drop off, those sorts of things. So there's going to be some logistics to work out on it, but we don't want to put the cart before the horse. And so we will be moving forward with some of those communications and plans if things go as approved.
Any other questions? No? All right. Thank you, Mark. All right. Now that we put that back into the consent agenda, Chris? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Ms. Lee? And Mr. Taggart? All those in favor? Okay. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item, board members at this time, are there requests for any new information or reports from the administrative team? I'll start on my left, and I'll work my way down. Nope. Okay. Thank you.
We will make note, Aaron, I did get noted your request for a follow-up next year on these programs.
Okay. As a reminder, we have the upcoming events. You have the calendar there in front of you to go through. And from there, in just a second, let me flip through my pages here. Connie, we don't have any public comments on non-agenda? Okay, thank you. All right, then, at this time, we will go into, well, the time is, let me look real quick. It is 8:14, and the board will now go into closed session for personnel, Texas Government Code Section 551.074, and cybersecurity, Texas Government Code Section 551.089. And we are going into closed session. Thank you. The time is 8:51. The board will now reconvene in open session. There being no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned at 8:51.